Welcome everybody. Today we're going to go over our camera and drone company dynamics. I'm Kyle, co-manager of Dynamics, along with co-managers Luke and Aaron. Aaron manages the workforce and facilities while monitoring our financial decisions. Luke manages our product design and resources, as well as building relationships and implementing business contracts. I develop strategies for our camera and drone marketing and led our CSR program initiative. So utilizing our skills and abilities, together we contributed to the success of the company. In a rapidly changing and highly competitive market, we are forced to adapt and challenge 8 companies to be the best in the industry in the drone and action camera market. Critical thinking, department management, and developing a strong competitive strategy is crucial for succeeding. Our focus on being above the industry average of quality and below the industry average of price makes us the best cost choice for investors. We implemented a multinational strategy. Our flexibility, awareness of national differences and overcoming obstacles, utilization of foreign exchange rates, and understanding entrepreneurial national operations allowed us to be successful in the company. Our strategy statement states, as Dynamics, we have taken a best cost provider position in our competitive strategy. Our mission is to achieve lower overall costs than our competitors while keeping a good image and increasing brand recognition. We strive to attract a broad spectrum of buyers using persuasive advertisement. We desire a high productivity and mass production while achieving desirable product quality. We achieve this through skilled labor and with high compensation for our efforts. So our products are the aerial drones and the action cameras, and they are used in multiple ways. They can be used for hikers or news and media, artists, photographers, construction development, and security surveillance, as well as marketers. In our North American and Europe markets, we started out strong, but unfortunately declined in sales after year 7. We believe this was due to not adjusting our product quality design to meet and exceed the industry average, as well as adjusting the correct prices for the quality that we did have. However, we had a decent grasp of understanding in the Asian and Latin American markets because looking at the graphs, we remained fairly consistent in the market share.
For our company's products and services, our main strategy was best cost or low cost. We wanted to achieve this by having well-trained, productive employees. For our product, we wanted to have a competitive product with average PQ and moderately priced. For our markets, we heavily advertised in North America and Europe / Africa, with lighter advertisement in Asia or Latin America. But we did up that a little bit when we went into currency exchange. When we had a currency exchange that would benefit us, that's when we really heavily marketed in that situation. For under our ending companies markets, we were able to be in the 12th percentile for market share for both cameras and drones. And that was very good for us because it was a very competitive market throughout the 12 years.
So the company began operations as a maker of wearable video cameras 5 years ago. It entered the market for camera-equipped drones 2 years ago. In year 5, the company had worldwide sales of 840,000 video cameras and 140,000 camera-equipped drones. Revenues in year 5 were $334.1 million, and the net earnings were $15 million, equal to 75 cents per share of the common stock. So looking at our performance over a 7-year span, our earnings per share increased from about $1 to $10 a share. Our credit remained pretty consistent over the years, raising from a B to an A rating and fluctuating from an A+ to an A-. Our return on equity had a huge jump at year 6 and a huge drop at year 7. However, it gradually increased all the way to year 12. Our image rating increased drastically at the year 6 mark and remained consistent until year 11. After expanding our CSR program in year 11, our image rating jumped up quite a bit. Net revenues consistently rose from year 5 to year 12. And lastly, our stock price rose dramatically in year 6 and lowered in year 7. However, it consistently increased over the next 5 years.
So a few things about our team organizational structure. Communication was a strength of ours right away. Everyone got along really well, and everyone put forth the appropriate effort. We had a very clear strategy from the beginning of low cost and best cost, which set us all on the right track, working together. And then also we set high goals for ourselves at 10% above investor expectations, and we were able to meet virtually all of them. A couple weaknesses. Though our managers were able to make themselves consistently available, there were times when scheduling in-person meetings was difficult due to conflicting schedules. And then another weakness was because we had success very early on in our tenure, we were somewhat hesitant to make bold strategy shifts, and that may have prevented us from maximizing our potential profit. Even though we did have weaknesses, we were still able to have success as a near industry leader, and this was because we had clearly defined roles that took advantage of everyone's skills as individuals, and put us all working towards the same strategy that we all had a good understanding of. So, like I mentioned before, teamwork and communication was a strength of ours, largely because we put everyone in the right roles and got everybody doing tasks that they felt comfortable with and felt like they were good at. We were successful right away, taking Missile as the second most profitable firm. Our low-cost strategy was very evident in our results. We were among the lowest cost firms. This allowed us to be the highest revenue firm for the majority of the 7 years in the market. As those years advanced, though, our margins did shrink some, because we had our compensation set to increase at 10% every year. So as those years went on and that compensation number increased, did cut into our margins, we made up for that by increasing our prices in the second half of the simulation. And that weakness was enough to hurt our margins a little bit, but we were still able to be among the industry leaders in profitability.
For a general environment, we chose 3 PES-style factors. Our first factor was an economic factor. Our exchange rate took a big play in that regional currency, pricing for Taiwan dollars. Our social factors were we gave a 108-day warranty, 31 under the industry average. We invested heavily in technology. We had 4 models for our AC cameras. We had 2 models for our UAV drones. And we invested heavily in our R&D and innovation with our robotics. Our industry was a very competitive industry. Any decision made by an individual company had an effect on our entire economy. Prices were sensitive and had to be adjusted with willingness to buy for each product. Each year, our company rating had to be increased due to social culture environment. With all of this, the company was being socially responsible and granting clean work conditions to our employees. Our company invested in new technology to better our products each year, and our company operated in 4 main regions, globally: North America, European, Africa, Asia Pacific, and Latin America. Our 5 forces analysis took us to 3 main analysis. The main one being intensity of bribery. It was very high. We had a lot of competition throughout the 8 teams that played Globus. The threat of entry was moderate because we only had 8 teams, so there wasn't many people coming into our industry. And substitutes were very low. Depending on your PQ, we had to verify who was going to buy from who and who was going to buy from different people.
We believe that aerodrones had a low-cost competitive advantage. We identified key elements that could have contributed to their success, such as their average wholesale price was below the industry average, their advertising budget was above the industry average, they offered a bigger selection of the models customers could choose from, they invested heavier in sales promotions, pushing it above the industry average, and they managed to increase their profit margin, which was the biggest contributor to their high stock price. They had high earnings per share, because they bought back stock and adjusted the price, and they maintained a high credit rating because they kept their debt to equity ratio very low. They also maintained lower operating costs than most of their competitors.
We aimed at driving a wide wedge between our competitors. We went for best cost strategy, giving customers more value for their money. We offered attractive products at a better price while trying to keep our costs very low. For our value chain, our main headquarters were in Taiwan. We produced in 2 facilities in Taiwan. Our final products were shipped to online retailers, and we put a high emphasis on marketing. We were a best cost, low cost provider. We had well-trained employees. We had a lot of R&D for our products, and we would add assembly lines each year. For our inter-firm activities, we chose 4. First was valuable. Our drones featured extreme performance rotors, enhanced GPS, and camera stabilizing, creating quality assurance and value to our customers. Our cameras deliver crystal clear images and were sold at a competitive price. We chose rare because Dynamic strives for strong relationship with our retailers and consistency with all our special contracts. Inimitable was our strategy to create diverse roles. Initiatives were flexible and ever-changing depending on market needs, making the company difficult to imitate, and we were organized. So strong leadership, data analysis, and our company was very efficient in exploiting opportunities to expand and grow.
We began our CSR program in year 8 by investing in our renewable energy initiative. By the end of year 11, we focused heavily on charity by donating 10% of operating profit to charity. The company supported in safe and environmentally friendly components, and we valued excellent working conditions, fair employment practices, and maintained a safe environment. Our goal was to build strong relationships with our retailers and customers and improving our company image globally.
Relative costs were one of our main strengths at Dynamics. We were consistently below the industry average production and assembly costs, and we were able to accomplish this by offering the highest compensation in the entire industry, which we set to increase at the maximum of 10% per year. This gave us the most productive workforce in the industry by a pretty good amount, which allowed us to produce more products with less employees. And this was the leading component in our success through relative costs, which was our main strategy in being a low-cost firm. And that's very evident in the graphs you can see on this slide, especially in the first half of our firm's participation in the market. We had a very large lead in relative costs. We did give that up some in the second half of our tenure in order to increase our margins some. But we were still among the leaders in relative costs. Willingness to pay was not a strength of ours at Dynamics, not because we were unable to promote willingness to pay, but more so because we did not set high enough prices to take full advantage of the willingness to pay that existed for our products. And that was especially evident in our pricing of our camera, which is evident in the graphs that you're seeing on this slide right now. You can see very clearly in the first half of our time in the market that we were well below the industry average in pricing. And if we would have charged the industry average, we could have collected that extra revenue and increased our margins. This slide looks very similar to the last slide. It is using the same metrics, only these graphs are showing the relationship of the price of our firm's drone, not camera, to that of the industry average. Our struggle to take advantage of our willingness to pay is less evident in these graphs with our drone than it was with our camera. So our firm So the main strategic strength we had at Dynamics was our ability to capture market share. This allowed us to be the highest revenue firm for the majority of our 7 years in the market. We were likely able to achieve that market share because we successfully accomplished our strategy of being a low-cost firm, which allowed us to set our prices below the industry average, which allowed us to be a high sales firm. And we were also, another strength of ours was that we were able to maintain competitive margins even with that low pricing, which again is largely because of our ability to achieve our low-cost strategy. Though our competitive margins weren't quite the top in the industry, they were just below the top tier and still among the market leaders. So our firm, Dynamics, did have a few strategic issues. The main one, which I mentioned earlier, was our failure to maximize our willingness to pay, which was largely because of our prices being set too far below the industry average. Another issue we had was with high overhead due to our marketing expense. We were, for much of the 7-year period, the largest spender in the marketing category in every region with both products. We also had the highest paid employees in the industry, which cut into our margins some as well. And then finally, due to us being a low-cost firm, we did not have very much PQ differentiation due to our little investment in improving our product. So, though our firm did have its issues, they are not without their solutions. First of all, with our main issue of maximizing our willingness to pay, an easy solution to that would be to simply raise prices. And we did recognize this while we were still in the market, and we began this process in year 10 and continued it in year 11 and 12. Next, our high marketing expense. The simple solution is to bring that back down to within range of the rest of the industry. It could still be above the industry average, but not quite to the degree that it was. And then same thing with our employees being the highest paid in the industry. We either need to fix that by paying them less, or by taking better advantage of the capacity that we're gaining from paying them so well to maintain that low relative cost. And then finally, if we were to implement those solutions, we would have a little more wiggle room in our margin, which would allow us to do some more investing in our PQ rating and try to derive some differentiation that could help us also with willingness to pay.